It's time for Around the Ozarks Sports Scene, sponsored by Fast Break Sports and The Pitch. Here's your host, Scott Puryear.
Welcome in to another edition of Around the Ozarks Sports Scene. I am Scott Puryear. As always, big thanks to you for taking time to listen to the podcast this week. I have a very special guest. We're excited to catch up with him again. He was actually my first guest ever on ATO Sports Scene back in October of 2023, and 63 podcasts later, it's time to catch up with Jackson Cantwell, the #1 high school football recruit nationally in the class of 2026, the junior offensive lineman and shot put specialist extraordinaire at Nixa High School. Jackson, thanks for taking the time to talk to me today.
Yeah, no problem, Scott. I guess it's always good to be back.
You betcha, yeah. And a lot of things have changed since that very first podcast. And, you know, we always talk a lot of football. I think Ned Reynolds and I had you on when you were coming out of 8th grade going into your freshman year, if I remember correctly. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and your world has changed just slightly since then. You're a little bigger and smarter and stronger and everything else. And so I thought we'd have some fun with the interview today. So we'll kind of call it 20 questions with Jackson Cantwell, or everything you always wanted to ask a 6'8", 315-pound man, but maybe we're afraid to because he's pretty menacing. So, I guess the first thing we'll start off with is big news over the weekend. You were able to cut down your list of college football recruiting hopefuls who want to land Jackson Cantwell from 14 to 6. The list now is Georgia, Miami, Michigan, Missouri, Ohio State, and Oregon. What was it like to call and break up with 8 coaches and their assistants over the weekend?
I mean, it's always tough. It never really gets easier, especially like the later it gets in the process, because you know people better and better as you go. But honestly, I mean, it's what has to be done at some point. I'm thankful for all the relationships I've built throughout the process, but it's just a part of it. I mean, you can't go to anywhere besides one school, so it's tough.
Did you ever count up how many you heard from initially? I mean, just from the get-go, maybe freshman year, sophomore year?
I mean, I've heard from just about all of them. I got offered by 31, but there eventually ran into a point where it became a lot tougher to you wouldn't like people would stop like wanting to reach out if you got to a certain point. For me, that was whenever I got offered by Bama and Georgia. A lot of schools decided that like at that point there was no advantage to reaching out. So after that, I didn't really get a whole lot more, but it was fine because I already had like basically all the opportunities I could have needed. So that was fine.
Could you hear any of them crying in the background when you broke up with them this weekend?
No, actually, it's good for them really, because it allows them to really keep going to the next guys on their board, and it's not bad, honestly. I mean, I'm sure it's fine. And those guys have so much stuff to worry about. It's not even it's not a worry. So I'm at least happy about that.
Were any of them tougher than the others, or were they all pretty much the same?
I'd say it's pretty similar. At least what I like to think. It felt like pretty similar for all of them.
What is the single coolest thing you've seen on all these recruiting trips over the last 3 years? And you can cheat and give me a couple if there's some kind of a competition between them.
Man, that's a really, really tough question. I mean, I don't know if like as far as like cool stuff I've seen, obviously getting to see like some of the like facilities and stuff people come up with is kind of crazy. I mean, getting to be like inside Nick Saban's office was one where I was like, that's kind of cool. I mean, I don't know, man. I've probably forgot a bunch of them, to be honest with you. I mean, I've done a lot of things over the last 2 years, but I don't know. I mean, there's a few of those, but I don't know. I mean, there's definitely so many more I'm forgetting, but those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head.
Was there one of the stadiums you walked into and just kind of went, wow, or were they pretty much at this level, all of them were like that?
I mean, all of them, I'd say for sure. I think like some of the crazier ones I've seen is like kind of the inside of Bryant-Denny, the inside of Georgia Stadium. I forget the name of it, and then inside Kyle Field. Those are 3 where I was like, that's pretty cool.
What when you take these long trips, who drives, mom or dad?
So we probably will not have to drive any more trips, honestly, ever. Thank God. But usually we would kind of trade off. They would trade off every couple hours.
And dad do most of it, or mom kind of jump in and split it equally?
It's pretty equal. But I think mom does a pretty good amount of driving, especially at night, because my dad's going to get a little bit like sleepy whenever we're driving like that. My mom's pretty good at staying awake, so that'll be kind of how that ends up going.
Now, explain the setup and what kind of vehicle, because you had a bed in the back of the vehicle, right?
Oh yeah, we figured that out about 6 months ago. We put a queen size bed in the back of the SUV we have. It worked out pretty well actually. You can get us to sleep on the way there. I could switch places and they get some sleep. Like it was really pretty genius idea, to be honest.
Was it comfortable?
Yeah, it actually was strangely comfortable. No, it was solid.
Was it because a lot of those trips you guys left literally after a Friday night game, didn't you?
Yeah, there was definitely one or two where we did do that, and I know there was one of the summer we drove over I think it's over 1,000 miles hitting 3 different schools. So we did a lot of driving in our day.
Well, and of course here in the last month or so, it's been a parade of famous head coaches coming to Nixa High School to see you. How are your friends with all that? Are they used to it by now, and are you used to it when you find out, that so-and-so's in the hallway today, and of course Coach Perry's eating that up too, isn't he?
I think it's gotten old for my friends so far, but Coach Perry's, I think he's enjoying to get to learn from all these guys. I'm just enjoying getting to learn from all these guys too, to be honest with you. I mean, I thought that's kind of the whole fun part of this process is getting to just learn about all these good people and all these good programs. It's really fun.
Had a great junior season. The Eagles' most wins in school history. Come up short in the state championship game to DeSmet, right down to the wire. I think it's 4th and 2 at the 17 with about a minute and a half left, and a chance right there to maybe force OT and go on and see what you can do in the extra period. What were your emotions after that game? And I guess my question is, does Jackson Cantwell get mad? Does he get upset? What were you dealing with after that game in particular?
Well, I mean, it always sucks to lose football games, really, regardless of the situation. I mean, thankfully, we haven't lost a lot of it with Nixa over these last couple of years, to be honest with you. But it always hurts. I was able to see the silver lining because that was the best Nixa team that has ever come through here. So it was hard to be truly just disappointed forever because I was we did something really cool. That whole we went all the way, and I was just a really fun getting to go all that way with those guys. I knew one thing I wanted to do this year was I didn't want to lose the state quarterfinals like we'd always done, and we made it past that point. And that was really what was okay, this is pretty cool. Let's see what we can do. Even then, I was we played as hard as we could. We gave it a good effort. We were in it for 47 minutes. Just didn't end up going our way. But that happens sometimes. I mean, it's hard to become winning one game, but it was a fun experience, and I'll probably have that in my memory for the rest of my life.
I see most Nixa games with a daughter that cheers there, and so I home and away, and a lot of times you'll get probably a 6 foot, 230 pound, maybe defensive end on the other side of you there at left tackle. That DeSmet game, you had a man over across from you. Is that more fun for you when that's the case?
Well, you'd be surprised because when you get in the playoffs, you'll see guys that are good every week once you get past district level because teams in 6A Missouri are pretty talented. Not a lot of people really know that. But no, I mean, I guess in the regular season, sometimes in COC football, you will see that. But it is always funny to go against good football players, at least to test exactly how good you are as a football player. So that's always kind of the fun part for me.
It might have been Joplin, but the poor kid, you took him downfield about 15 yards. It was reminiscent of Michael Orr in the movie, and The Blind Side. Do you ever feel sorry when you got a little guy over there and it's oh my gosh, I'm going to kill this guy?
I mean, not really. Sometimes you kind of know what's about to happen before, before you do something. Sometimes you'll kind of know in a play, oh man, if I catch this right, this is gonna suck for this dude. But no, I mean, it's the most fun. It's the most fun part of the game. So no, not at all.
Who was your biggest challenger in the high school season in that regard on the other side?
Well, when we got to the DeSmet game, they had 2 very good football players on their defensive line. I was kind of they were kind of if you asked before that game, I guarantee our team would have said we got to rely on our O-line to win this one. They had to rely on their D-line to win this one, and their D-line had 2 dudes that were very good at football on the other side. So yeah, I mean, Titan Davis and Quincy Bias are 2 defensive linemen that will be very good players in college and are currently very good players, or I guess were good players in high school. So those are some guys I played against that were pretty darn good. And they gave us a pretty good challenge all throughout 4 quarters in that game.
Take us back to the touchdown catch this season. Did you know it was coming? Has that play been in the works? Had it been in the works for a few weeks? And did you feel bad about almost killing Lane Meltebarger when you chest bumped him?
Oh, that was an awesome play. So, I mean, we had that one in for about a week or 2, and I knew if there was a game to call it, it would be that one just because of the nature of the game. Mm-hmm. And we get a situation to call it earlier on, and they sent a defender off the edge, and he saw me like kind of backpedaling. I think he thought I was going to block him, so he took me on. And Adam just didn't have anyone to throw it to, so he had to try to run it in. But we ended up running it later anyway, and it ended up working out because they just didn't have anyone over there. And yeah, so the thing with the celebration is the general ruling is like you want to go up and chest bump with like the bigger guys, and you lift up the smaller guys. Tight ends are kind of a gray area, but that was where I learned like you probably got to lift with the tight ends too. Because I went up with Lane and he went down pretty fast after that. But
yeah, he didn't. He didn't wind up in concussion protocol, did he? After that, but
he did not. He played the next week every single snap.
So is that a tackle eligible play, where that you guys have to declare that to the official, or how does that work?
We figure out you cannot declare eligible in high school, but what you can do is you can throw the ball backwards in like a lateral fashion.
Okay.
You can do that. So that was what we did.
So do you are you going to push for that play to be in at least 8 to 10 games next season?
Well, if I want to win National Gatorade Player of the Year, I'm going to need stats. So I got to get like completion or something like that too. Like I really got to start building this up.
Jackson Cantwell in the shotgun, a quarterback, and Adam goes out wide. How about that next year?
We'll see.
Can you throw a football? I mean, we know you can throw a shot put. Can you throw a football?
Actually, no, because throwing in an early age, like the javelin, it messed up my throwing motion pretty bad. So I was not thinking anything deeper than I was thinking like a touch pass across the middle, just had to get the stats in. Like
there you go.
Screen. I'm not really looking at anything too deep. I don't have the throwing motion for that.
Can you kick an extra point?
You're pushing that thing. I can't really I don't have that in me.
Yeah, could you kick an extra point?
I mean, if you gave me 10 tries, I'd probably hit like 2.
Okay, that's 20%. Yeah,
I would not say that I would be fantastic at it.
Can you throw a shot put either this spring or next spring 80 feet?
I mean, I think next year that would be the goal. I want to throw it 82 feet, but we'll see. We'll see how close we end up getting with that. I think it's got a good chance. I just got to keep putting the work and just keep getting a little bit closer.
Now you're just under 75 feet now, right? For your career best.
That's correct. 74.9 3/4, 22.80 meters.
And what is the official high school record and the unofficial? Because the unofficial is 81 something, right?
I think that's still. I mean, that's the only one I know about. I didn't know if there was something else going on, but I guess the junior year record is only 73 feet, but it's the high school record, as far as I know, is 24.78 / 81 foot 3.5.
You know, and I'm sure it's just like in, you know, if you're a 100 meter dash guy, getting from 10.3 to 10.2 is a mountain. In shot put, I mean, we're talking a matter of 5 feet, and everybody's going to be like, well, he's only got to go 5 more feet in 2 years. How hard is it at this point when you're already like pushing 75 to get that extra 5 to 7 feet?
It's incredibly hard because there have been so many guys in the past that have been about where I am that haven't really been able to do it. So, I mean, you can see, like, over the years from guys that have gone in to throw and, like, have been pretty good, like, as underclassmen, like, it's just tough to make that last jump because it's just so incredibly difficult knowing, like, because even getting to 70 is pretty hard in and of itself. Mm-hmm. But getting past it is even harder. So that's something that it'll take a lot of work. But, I mean, I think if anyone could do it, it could be me. So I'm excited to see it.
Is it strength or technique, or what will it be, or is it a combination of those two to get that extra 5 to 7 feet?
I think everything. I mean, I think I just need to get a little bit better at everything. But I got 2 years to do it, so I feel pretty good about it.
Do you feel like people kind of forget that you're pretty good at the discus too? Because, I mean, you've won the shot both years and you've set records both times, and you're right there in the discus too, aren't you, on a national level? Are you top 10?
Yeah, I think I was number like 8 or 9 in the country last year. I forget exactly what it was, but I mean, I was up there, and you don't hear about it much. But I have the sophomore national record in that too, and I mean, I got 5th at NON in the discus, and I think everybody in the country that was like any good was there. So I mean, it's tough to like. I definitely think that that's another event that I can do really well. It's just not as talked about because my parents both did the shot put, so you hear about that more. But I'm glad you brought that up because not a lot of people really like talk about that much. Yeah,
what is your career best in the discus so far?
I've thrown 205'4", which is 62.60 meters.
Okay, and what is the national record in that for high school?
So the national record of the disc is 237'5", which is 72.38. I want to say I probably got that wrong, but that was Ryan Krauser. Is currently the best shot putter of all time at the professional level. He set that in high school.
And people probably forgot that Krauser threw the discus too, right?
Not throwing people, but I guess it's a little bit lesser known, but in the throwing community, it is kind of. I think the shot record is probably the most iconic record at all in the throws community because of how unbreakable it's been deemed to be over the last 40 years. But that disc record is one that's a little bit more recent, but it's also pretty out there as well.
How cool was that it was a district or sectional last year where they had it at Nixa and put the shot put competition in the middle of the football field and all those people could watch it? You've kind of become a phenomenon now in track where people are going to stop what they're doing and watch it. Does that help you get more distance out of it because you're pumped up?
Well, I'd like to think so because I threw my PB at districts last year. So if I could get something like that going again this year, that would be awesome because I did like throwing at cause I'm not doing a home meet in the regular season this year. So if I could get something like that going at districts, that'd be awesome because I do think we are hosting districts again. So that'd be a very cool thing to do. It was a little bit of a. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a bit of a pain to set up because it's just tough to get all that moved around. But it's pretty cool to watch for sure.
Now, when is the indoor facility on campus at Nixa supposed to be ready, and will there be an area where you can throw in there in inclement weather?
So that'll be coming. I think July 1st is whenever it's going to open up to everybody. So next year I'll be able to throw in that, which obviously would help to have it as early as possible. Getting it for at least 1 year will be really helpful. So that'll be good. And
after that first NFL contract, will it be the Jackson Cantwell multi-purpose arena at Nixa High School?
Man, that'd be awesome if I get to that point, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
I would love to. That'd be the life goal for sure.
Well, let me ask you we're going to have some fun with these. So it's inevitable. Obviously, first one thing I want to ask you was that your affiliation with the Drew Rosenhaus group in high school. What do they do for you? And of course, that's one of the world's most famous agents, super agent. What do they do for you now in terms of arranging NIL or talking about those types of things?
So those guys have done a fantastic job so far at basically two things. They're kind of they're the middleman as far as communicating with schools, but they also do really my favorite thing, free stuff. I love free stuff. So you can represent brands and get some of that, and I really enjoy that because you can get a lot of cool stuff. I've got some Carhartt stuff. I've got beef a beef jerky company sent me some things. There's some fantastic. I know I've got a deal in the works with First Form. There's a lot of cool companies that I've been able to work with so far.
What do you have to do for them in exchange?
Usually it's either you post them on Instagram or you'll you'll sign to go do some content for them. That's I think that's kind of what it entails. But no, I enjoy doing it just because some of it's pretty fun. I know one thing that I've kind of got in the works was they workshopped a potential of doing some trading card company stuff, but they said I'd have to sign maybe 2,000 cards. That sounds like it might take a minute, so we'll see how that goes.
Do you ever wonder what would have been like if you'd have come along 5 years earlier and there was no NIL, and how much that has changed not just your world, but players everywhere, especially high-level guys? Because you're going to make life-changing money, knocking on wood, everything stays healthy, etc., going into college. And just have you thought about that aspect?
It's really interesting to say the least, but I do think it'll be obviously I'm glad I'm in this situation because you get a really solid backup plan for if it does end up working out, because obviously it doesn't for a lot of people. It's really ridiculous. It's ridiculously hard to play professional football, and anyone that tells you that you need to bank on that, otherwise you go to their school, is an idiot, because a lot of things can happen to you can get injured and a lot of things can happen there. But it is definitely it's an interesting time in the college football world because obviously there's a lot of change now, but it's always been college football has always been pretty crazy as far as people wanting out and wanting in and stuff, and it's been really it's been interesting to say the least to kind of learn about how it's going to affect me. But I'm just excited to take the challenge on and just get to go play football at this level.
Now, with this Rosenhaus group, when you settle on or you get down to your final 2 or 3, later this summer, do they help you negotiate a number with your parents, or how does that work with the NIL end for your deal going into college?
Well, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I know that they have connections to all of the GMs every school. Some of the GMs are the head coaches. It's kind of interesting. I know one of my agents, Ryan Matha, he got off with Kirby Smart, I believe, about a week before he came to see me, just because he's the guy, he's one of the guys that gets to go down to these places and talk to coaches. So that's been kind of what he does for me on that side. But I mean, that's kind of like their realm to step in. I don't really see a lot of it, and I'm fine with that because I'm the guy that needs to like do stuff on the field. But I mean, there's making sure plays have the best interest in mind for me. That's all.
Now, when that first big check hits the bank account for mom and dad, have you got any kind of purchase in mind? Have you thought about what, or will mom works for a bank. Will she let you touch it, or is it going away?
If I go buy like some Oreos or something, I don't know. I mean, just I don't know. Maybe go grab like a snack. It sounds probably a pretty good idea, really. Once I get to that point, because I know, like, I don't think I'll end up really using it for like too much in college. Just 'cause I don't know what I'd need if I already lived on campus and had like the clothes and stuff and like all the food I could need there. But I mean, I think it'd be like, I know some stuff I want to get into if I were to like get in the professional world of sports. I already have a lot of good ideas, but I wouldn't have time for that in college, so I'd have to wait until I got like kind of out of there a little bit.
So I saw your dad posted that you hope to have a decision by the end of the summer, right? You want to be done with it before your senior year starts?
Ideally, for sure. I kind of hope it doesn't last any longer than like I hope to have my decision made before our first game, without question, like probably like July to August time. Like after all the official visits, that should have a pretty good idea.
And of course, you're spread out all over the U.S. map, from Oregon to Miami to Ohio State, Mizzou, Georgia. You know, a lot of those. Is distance going to be a problem for you, or and the family, or how big of a factor is that?
It would have been like kind of pre-NIL, but now like there's a lot of places that like they will include like taking your parents to the games if you're far away. And I'm assuming it's because like you want to get more people from out of state. Like I know like places like Oregon, Michigan, Ohio State, Miami, like, that'd be a big thing because we need to get there. So I mean, I think that would be. That's not as big of a concern now. I just want to do what's best for me, really. And if that's going out of state, then that's going out of state. It's just it depends on the situation, really.
You got to play as a junior in the Under Armour All-Star Game, which had to be really cool, and be around guys like you that are going through this, and guys that are a year older and are really closer to going through it. Or did you talk to them about it? Did you make some new friends down there? And I guess wrapping that question up is, what did you learn about yourself at that All-Star Game?
Well, I mean, obviously, I talked to a bunch of different guys that are kind of in my situation, but I think the biggest thing that I learned is just, like, a combination of, like, I think I'll figure it out pretty quick once I'm playing against good players, and that playing against good players makes me a lot better is kind of what I learned from that. And that I can just kind of hang with some of those guys in general is I think those are the big things I got from that game is a little bit more confidence in myself and a little bit more of knowing, like, once I get to the next level, this will, like, skyrocket first year just from getting to go against these players every day.
Now, you jumped over and played some right tackle in that game, too, didn't you?
I played right tackle exclusively in that game, actually.
Yeah. What was that like for you?
So it actually wasn't that bad because I feel like, and you don't get to see it a lot during the fall just from how we played last year. We might change that. We'll see, like, as far as, like, how much I'm playing, like, the offensive line positions, like the different ones. But I know that, like, with me playing pretty much exclusively left tackle this fall, I didn't have a lot of in-game experience with that, but now that I have that, I know I can do it, and I can do it at a high level, so I have some more confidence in that as well.
Let's get personal on some stuff here. What size shoe you wear?
I wear a size 16.
16? Have you been there for a while, or foot still growing?
I think I've been there since, like, 8th grade, freshman year, somewhere in there.
How hard is it to find size 16 shoes?
It's definitely it's tough. It's usually, like, the biggest size you can order online, so you can find it. It's just somewhat difficult, but I thought it was, I think it's definitely not as bad as it could be. I'll put it that way.
Pant size?
I wear a 3XL pretty much everything else. 4XL gloves is the only other one to be an exception, but 3XL everything else.
What about waist and length, though? How would you order pants?
Man, I'm honest, I have no idea. I don't know that many metrics on it, but I don't know. I'm sure Terry Cantwell could have an answer for you on that.
Does mom order those?
Yeah, usually he'll take care of that.
So when you go to prom and you have to go get a tux, there's going to be some major measurements going on with that then, right?
I went once, not for me. Probably won't do that anymore, but that's okay.
Tell us one big man problem that most people don't understand.
Hitting your head on stuff is not only a real thing. I feel like in my house it's a pretty common thing to happen. So like, having like keep your head on a swivel when like walking around stuff, because I've hit my head on a lot of things in my life.
Do you get people?
I got a chandelier in my living room where like I still have like PTSD every time I get up. I have to like really bend my neck or else I'll hit my head on it. It's like the first year like I kind of got tall, I would keep doing it, and it took a while to kind of learn.
If you could pick one restaurant anywhere in the U.S., could be local too, and have them close it down to the public for about 3 hours, tell the kitchen staff, you just keep bringing food out for Jackson Cantwell, let him finish, and all you can eat, what would it be?
I mean, whatever the best quality steakhouse I can find is, really. I mean, there's probably some good ones out there. I mean, basically, I don't know exactly what it'd be. Maybe like Ruth's Chris or something like that. Like one of the really good steakhouses, just close it down, just bring a bunch of like fillets and ribeyes out, and that would be it for sure.
How many could you eat?
I mean, as many as I got time for there, or I guess maybe until. I mean, that'd be a good question actually. I might try that one year. We'll see.
How many ounces of steak could you eat in one sitting if you were hungry?
I mean, a 36-ounce porterhouse is something that I've eaten before. I mean, I know for my birthday 2 years ago, I went and got I think it was like a 50-ounce tomahawk with some of my friends, and I ate that and a thing of mac and cheese. It was really difficult, but I ate it all. So probably about there would be the max.
Have you ever thought about going to that Big Tex Steakhouse? I think it's in Amarillo, maybe, where they've got the 72-ounce, and if you finish it, you get like a trophy and cash or things like that. Could you do that?
I mean, I don't think I would be that good. I'll say that. But, I mean, it'd be cool to try it, obviously, or something like that if I had like a bunch of free time. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd be that good.
What's the Waffle House story? I know you carry the flag out before home games coming out of the tunnel. What's the story there?
So it's a really interesting story, and I'm glad we're on a podcast so I have time to kind of walk you through it.
Sure.
So at the beginning of this year, if you look at the first two games that we played, I carried out a Trench Gate flag, right? And one of my buddies would carry out the Waffle House flag. But for the Joplin game, my dear friend, who is a senior on our team, he asked me if he could carry out the flag for one of his last home games. And I was okay with that because I just thought it would be kind of cool. So I carried out the other flag my friend usually carried out, and it was the Waffle House flag. And that was the same day the 24/7 reporter came to see me. And he took a video of it, and it got like 5 million views on Twitter, and it went viral. It's really stupid how some of my stuff goes viral versus some of my stuff doesn't. So I feel like the most impressive things I do, like nobody really ends up seeing, but like stuff like that just circles the internet overnight. But I mean, it was really interesting because overnight that kind of became like one of my things. And then whenever so I work with Hayes Fawcett on my top six edit, and he wanted to do a landscape edit, but I didn't know what like the inspiration would be, and he suggested, I was like, you know what, man, I'll embrace the identity. So that's kind of where I'm at now with that.
That's a side story too. Why is there only one Hayes Fawcett? I mean, how is he the guy that everybody goes to?
So I'm not 100% sure because I'm pretty new to like working with him. I think I first worked with him in June, but I mean the guy does a fantastic job, and he's done a fantastic job forever. I think the story was, he worked with the #1 player in the country like 7 years ago and did one of his, and it was really good. Mm-hmm. So then he ended up just getting a bunch more people to work with him. They got signed with On3, and then now he's like, if you want one, you want like a lot of outreach with it, he's like the guy. People follow him like for breaking news and stuff.
Do you eat at Waffle House? Kind of back to that, and is that something the Rosenhaus people need to be contacting them nationally to get a little deal going here?
They absolutely do, because I mean, honestly, I haven't been in a minute, but I mean, it's got good stuff. It's just there's one in Springfield about like 20-something minutes away from me. That's the only one I can think of. But I definitely, I mean, if they'd be interested, I would love to work with Waffle House. That would be a fantastic. I feel like it'd be a layup too. I mean, as far as that goes, it'd be a pretty easy one to find.
And was that? Do I remember right? The 24/7 or the Waffle House started because 24/7 our receivers are open 24/7 or something like that at Nixa?
That was the original one. Yes, that was kind of why it was bought. Those flags were bought before I ever got to Nixa. They were just here already, and I'm assuming that was what the old receivers coaches thing was. But it kind of gradually evolved, and the receivers stopped taking the flag out, so it became an offensive line flag. So we ended up doing that.
Got this from a source who chose to be unnamed. Told me that you do not like for your food to touch or mix. Is that true?
I mean, not particularly. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't like specifically say that, but I mean, it depends on what it is. Like, there's a lot of there's definitely some nuance to it. I feel like. I mean, Yeah, I wouldn't say like specifically, but like kind of, not. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I do. Are you a fast food guy?
I mean, I indulge in it every now and then. There's some good stuff there.
What's a typical McDonald's order when you're hungry?
Oh, so this comes courtesy of our right guard from last year. Shout out to Jacob Lyle. He's probably not going to watch this. He's probably working at Little Caesars or something. But he showed me like you can get some McDoubles there for really cheap, and 6 McDoubles is a fantastic way to spend an afternoon if you just are really hungry. So that's
6 McDoubles.
Oh yeah, there's some of those like cheeseburgers. They're nice and cheap, and they're really good. So I'd recommend. I mean, it's like if you want to get something cheap from McDonald's, that's the way to do it.
How do you only weigh 315? Yeah, I mean.
So the thinking behind that is I don't know. It's definitely I'm glad that I can kind of keep weight off because I feel like I do obviously still exercise a really good amount, moving around a bunch, like, and I eat good. It's just every now and then I'll indulge in some of that. Like I try to do it in moderation. That's something my parents have preached for a while. Is just you can do it, just do it in moderation. Which I mean I think that's the biggest part, just not doing it all the time. Which that's really going to be like the biggest struggle whenever we get to official visits is. And I think my dad said this like every day for the last like 3 weeks. Got to push the plate away just as much as possible, so I can avoid just eating way too much and just having that become a problem. So we're gonna avoid that at all costs.
Do you miss basketball? Yeah, I know you're not playing this year for the first time. Do you miss it?
Well, I mean, I think I definitely do. I think that basketball it's obviously really fun to play basketball. I can say that confidently. And I think, obviously I miss like kind of the brotherhood with that, but I think what I'm doing right now is just, it was what I was always going to do. And I'm just glad I have time to train now. It made it a lot easier to like, not only keep weight on, cause I lost 35 pounds last basketball season, but also allowed me to like get strength gains. I'm getting a lot of strength gains right now. So it's kind of nice.
A lot of comments about the Billy Bob sweatshirt or hoodie you had on in one of the coaching pictures on the visit here last month. Billy Bob from Friday Night Lights. What's the story on the Billy Bob sweatshirt?
Well, yeah, there's a website called linemanissues.com. It's I found it a couple months ago. They got some pretty good merch there. It's very quality stuff. They got like the Trench Gang logo originally comes from them. I know I had I know some of my friends have. I know my buddy's got a Chicks Dig the Belly shirt. He bought one of those. Like they got some quality stuff. And I saw a Billy Bob hoodie, and I was like, man, I love Varsity Blues. So I figured I would throw that on there, and yeah, it was quite nice, quite a nice hoodie, and I wear it sometimes, and that was when Coach Day showed up, and I thought it was just a pretty cool way to go meet a head coach. I feel like. Yeah,
and I got my movies mixed up. That is Varsity Blues. I said Friday Night Lights. Are you more Billy Bob?
I love Friday Night Lights too. If they make one of those, I'll probably buy it as well because that's another one. We watch both those movies every year before our football season.
Have you ever watched Johnny Be Good? That's an oldie but a goodie.
I don't think so. Might have to add it to the list of like next stuff to watch. The recommendations, I could definitely use some of those.
Well, it's about a 5-star quarterback and visits back. It's probably a movie from the 80s or early 90s. You need to go check it out. But some of the stuff that happens on those visits is pretty legendary. So you may want to see that before you go on your officials coming up. So tug of war, you're familiar with it? A rope. Somebody on each end trying to get it past a certain mark to win. You and Christian Cantwell are doing tug of war. Who wins?
At this point in my life, I would say me because I don't think he has like the core strength that I do. Like, because he's trained like a bodybuilder right now. I'm not really. I'm not doing that. I'm training to be more like athletic and stuff. I'm doing like all the other movements and all that. But no, like when he was competing, absolutely not. But now I think I'd have a pretty good chance.
What about you versus John Perry?
I would probably win in like maybe half a second, quarter of a second, somewhere there. It wouldn't take long. I assure you that.
Wow, poor coach.
He would think he'd be able to hang with me, and he would not be able to hang with me. But that's okay. That's fine.
Can you do a good Coach Perry impersonation yet?
Oh, I feel like I'm good at it, but like I get mixed reviews on it because I hear the guy talk all the time. I don't like to do it like too often, but I feel like I can do like his voice pretty good just from how much I've heard it.
Let's hear one. Just give me a John Perryism.
I mean, sometimes like when he starts talking, like he'll just go like, "Man, think about this, man. Whenever you get now, you got to get his butt in B gap. whenever you're going on the capsule hinge, man, that's what it is in life. Or like some, I don't know. I mashed like 4 of them together, but it'll sound something like that. I promise.
Are there times you just don't understand him?
I mean, I understand him. I understand what he says now. I know, like, when he first got here, like, the Southern accent was pretty crazy. But now, like, I can understand everything he says. It's just, there's definitely a few things that we've noticed over the years that he says is kind of hilarious. I know there was one day, and I don't even know if I probably can't say it, but there was something he said. I forget exactly where it came from, but it was the most hilarious thing I'd ever heard. Like, we were in the middle of doing punt, and I jumped off sides, and it was a very interesting quote, to say the least. And I look at Hayden next to me on, like, because we had, like, some big guys there on punt, and I'm just like, where the heck did that come from? It was just the funniest thing I'd ever heard. So you'll pick up some good ones from, like, just listening to him every now and then. It's awesome.
So if you're a player, you learn to speak Perry by your senior year then, right? Pretty much?
It's ridiculously easy. It just comes with time.
Speaking of Hayden, are you ever going to let him win like a shot putter? I mean, you guys are like Ricky Bobby and Cal Naughton Jr., from Talladega Nights. Is it okay if he wins one of those shot put competitions?
Well, yeah, he goes to some of the meets I don't go to. I think he goes to like the Neosho Open this year. I think he'll be there, and I won't. And there will be one more that he goes to that I don't go to.
So what you're saying is he can win as long as you're not there, right?
If I foul out, I mean, and I'm sorry, Hayden, I don't intend on fouling out this year. I got too much technique work going on for that.
I heard a recent interview where you stated something to the effect that you really believe your track career may be over by the time your college days are over.
I also I hope it is.
Yeah,
I really don't. I want to play professional football.
And could a guy do both? I mean, Bo Jackson played football and baseball. Could a guy be an NFL player and an Olympic shot putter?
You can, but if I was on a second contract making high 8 figures in football, I would have zero desire to throw. Not even a little bit. So that would be perfectly fine with me to step away from that if I was playing professional football.
Do you think about the fact in all these decisions, and again, I know that you talk track with all these schools that are still in the final list because it's something you want to do, but there are 134 left tackles and right tackles, so 268 guys at Division I out there that are all trying to get to the league. And all big guys, and there's only one kid in high school right now that's throwing a shot put 75 feet. I mean, does that enter your mind that, hey, I'm really special in this one side of it, and I'm special in the other because I'm the number 1 prospect in the country?
Well, I mean, I do think that, like, it is kind of interesting whenever you really think about that football is my second best sport, which is, like, kind of, it's hard to grasp, really, but, I mean, I do think that, like, no matter what, I think there'd be enough spots in football to where it'd be okay. Because you can make that work, and there's guys moving in and out all the time. Like, there's never a shortage of offensive line. There's never, like, a shortage of need for offensive linemen as well.
Sure.
There's always a need for those guys.
Favorite NFL team and favorite NFL player?
So I started to hop on the Chiefs a little bit just because of, like, I know I'm going down to represent the Chiefs this weekend, so I've started to kind of gradually, like, gravitate towards that just because I don't really have an NFL team. So when they reached out to me to do that, I was like, maybe I start watching some more Chiefs games. But I'm generally, if you ask me, like, especially more than a couple weeks ago, I'd say, like, I like to watch players. I think that's what I like to do. I mean, like, whenever I'm like watching the NFL, I like to watch a lot of guys that like play my position, just kind of see what they do and like how I could potentially apply it. And I mean, that's how I've always been. But I'm even a fan of just like good players. Like, I mean, I was a Tom Brady guy for a while. I like Gronk a lot. Like a lot of that was. I mean, I think a lot of that's kind of where I come from as far as watching professional football.
Who are the 2 or 3 linemen that you really watch and admire now, or maybe in the past?
Well, I mean, obviously, when you watch athletic freaks like Trent Williams, it really makes you think about like seeing guys like that. It's just kind of crazy to see like how they operate on the field. But even guys like somewhat more normal looking NFL offensive linemen, which he's still like 6'5", 315. Like Lane Johnson's a guy that I kind of like play similarly to in my like pass pro strategy. So I've watched him a lot, and I know like there are some other guys like Christian Darrisaw is one I like to watch some. Even some of the guards, like I like some of Quentin Nelson's game. Like there are a lot of guys I like to watch like on the offensive line do some really good things. I know a lot of those Eagles guys nowadays do a fantastic job. That's one that I've kind of really liked watching recently. Is they've done great in this playoff run.
And you mentioned it, but so you do get to go to the Super Bowl or down there this week? Do you get to go to the game? Kind of explain what's going on this weekend.
Unfortunately, I don't get to go to the game, which I know. I don't know why we don't get to either. That's something I thought was really, really interesting and a bit of an oversight. But I mean, we get to go down there. We're doing it's almost like a Pro Bowl style thing, I think. So it's kind of cool. But I don't know exactly what all it entails just yet. But well, we'll see. So I mean, I'm excited to go find out.
Is it a Nike thing? Is that right?
Yeah, it's affiliated with Nike. With all the NFL teams, I believe, send a representative there.
33 on the ACT as an 8th grader. Are you done? Not taking it again?
Oh, I'm done. There's no motivation to anymore.
Could you get a 36?
I mean, if you gave me enough time to study, I mean, I think I could do it, but I mean, we'll see. We'll never know, but we would just have to see. But I don't think I'd have any motivation to try it again.
Where are you on the weight chase, your personal goals and catching up with your dad, unlike the bench and things like that? Where are you numbers-wise?
It's really unfortunate that I've just started to realize there's no way I'm benching 641 pounds. But, I mean, I think that 5 plates by the time I get to like my senior year summer is absolutely in like grasp. I just have too long arms for it, unfortunately. But I think that's fine as long as it's still obviously insane. It's just I do think that I can hit 5 plates by that time. So I think I'm going to incline 4 plates this spring. And I'll probably end up shoulder pressing somewhat close to 3 plates in like a week or two whenever I test that out.
So you're conceding defeat to your father in the bench?
I don't think that's what I'm going to get. I think I'm going to have a lot of other things going for me. I don't think I'll get the bench, and I don't think I'll get the 40 time. But I think I can get a lot of other things.
What did he run the 40 in?
He ran a 4.72 at 335 pounds, or 340 or something like that.
What's your best 40?
I ran a 5.2 on a pulled groin a year ago. I could absolutely run faster now. My guess would be like a 5 flat.
5 flat? You think you can get under that before you're done?
If I could run like a 4.9 after I got out of college, that would be like exceptional. So I would take that for sure.
I know that in your spare time you like to play some NCAA football on the Xbox. Are you good?
Oh yeah. I mean, yes and no. Not a great passer, good at getting the run game going. I'm trying to learn, actually, like how to do coverages and stuff, not only for NCAA, but just like for like helping out like ID and blitzes. So it's actually kind of beneficial for me, but I cannot pass the ball to save my life. But as far as like making people mad by running like 13 personnel outside zone, I've gotten pretty good at that. Who's
your best teammate at the game?
I mean, I don't think any of them can really hang with me, but I know some of the guys that like play it all the time, some of those offensive linemen. I mean, I'd say either Hunter or Hayden. Those guys are usually pretty solid.
Who do you play as? What team?
I play as everybody. I mean, I'd say like the few teams I play as the most, like they're not even teams I'm really like being recruited by. Like I think whenever I get on, sometimes I'll like. I know one team I love recently just because I like picking like smaller teams and going to play people that are like pretty good just because it's kind of a challenge. I mean, usually I'll hop on with James Madison because they have some good formations that I like to use, like a lot of 3 tight end stuff, a lot of like exotic run stuff. So I'll hop on with a team like that, like North Texas or something like that, and just try to go play football. If I use like some of the bigger teams, I'll use the ones I'm being like heavily recruited by. But other than that, like I like going with the smaller teams, like Army. That's a big one. Like going a little triple option action, like you'll see a Republic, but like stuff like that.
Could you have a tournament between your 6 finalists, and then that determines where you go?
I mean, they got the overalls in the game. It would make it, I don't know. I mean, I'd say it's even teams maybe, like, just made it to where it'd be, like, pure chance. But I think I'd rather make the educated decision on this one.
Have you made a Jackson Cantwell custom player in the game?
I have not had time to do that yet. I wanted to, because I did this whenever I was, like, in junior high, just make an entire team roster, but I did not have the free time for that these days.
Spring goals for track and field.
Throw far. And specifically throw 24 meters in the shot and then 69 meters in the disc.
And what are those by feet?
78'9" and 226 something, I want to say, in the disc.
Wow. And do you have some summer meets outside of the high school season? Or some meets coming up outside the high school season?
I'm going to open up at Missouri Northwestern on the 16th. And then I don't know exactly how far, like, I won't be in peak condition until outdoor, but I think by NIN in March, which is Nike Internationals in New York, it's like early March, I should be in pretty good shape by then, but we'll see.
But before you cut it down to 6 and you were still at 14, how many texts and calls did you get a day on your cell phone?
Way too many, and that was kind of the good motivation to get it back down. Like, there were some days where I just couldn't do it. And I'm very glad that I don't have that anymore. Obviously, it's a first world problem, but I am not the biggest fan of whenever 10 analysts from the same school reach out, or even worse, when 20 beat reporters from the same school reach out to ask the same questions. But I tried my best to do it, and it was tough, but I'm glad I've only got 6 schools left in. It's really nice.
Are there ones outside of that still try, or do they just get the hint?
No, I was just straight up with them. I don't want to have to waste people's time, which I think is good. I like being honest about that, especially because they have people they need to go after too. I want to make them spend time on me for that. But I think all these schools that are still in it will be in it until the end. I think there's no reason they won't be.
Well, it's coming to a head. You'll make a decision sometime late this summer, hopefully. Put it all to rest. Will you miss the recruiting process when that time comes?
I think everyone misses it a bit, but honestly, I'm just going to be glad all the calls and texts are gone. I mean, I don't have to worry about that, so that's kind of nice.
Who gets misty-eyed first at signing day? Your mom, your dad, or you?
What's up?
Who gets misty-eyed and kind of tears up first at signing day? You, your mom, or your dad?
Probably mom. I think that would be the safest bet.
And we'll kind of end this with what have they meant to you through this whole process, your mom and dad?
Basically everything. I mean, they've helped me through this whole process. They've helped me get to places. They've helped me make these decisions. They've had a really big part to play in this. I'm thankful all throughout for what they've done for me. So that's been something that it's been good to be able to not only rely on them for the wisdom and stuff, but know that I'm not going to make the mistakes a lot of people will because I have them to help guide me.
Very good. Jackson, you've been a trooper. Appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. Maybe we'll catch up next year as well, okay?
All right. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks. You betcha. That's going to do it for another edition of Around the Ozarks Sports Scene. Big thanks to Jackson Cantwell for giving me time out of his day to talk everything in his life, basically. That was a lot of fun. So we appreciate Jackson, and, of course, always appreciate our sponsors, Fast Break Sports over on South Campbell, your home for all things sports memorabilia and collectibles. You got that special car that you found in the attic that you want to protect and put into plastic. They've got it for. If you want to get it graded, you can make arrangements with them. Any questions you have about collectibles, cards, football, basketball, baseball, sports memorabilia, they've got it all at Fast Break Sports. And the Pitch Pizza and Pub. We were over there last week to tape our podcast and had a great time talking with Brian. Got to check out their new outdoor patio area there. So when the weather warms up again and you want an outdoor lunch or dinner, go ahead over to the Pitch. TVs everywhere. Great place to watch sporting events. And always great pizza, sandwiches, subs, calzones, cold beverages. They've got it all at the Pitch Pizza and Pub, which leads to our What to Watch This Weekend, brought to you by The Pitch. It's Super Bowl weekend, finally. I hate the 2-week break between the games, but builds up anticipation and makes you forget football for one weekend anyway. But it'll be the Chiefs going for the three-peat, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles Sunday, probably around 5:30 on the kickoff. The game's carried by Fox this year. So, by the way, get your wing orders in early at the Pitch. Their wings are awesome, and they'll be hit hard with those for all the Super Bowl parties out there. Or just go out to the location and watch the game there in the Southern Hills Shopping Center and have your wings hot out of the kitchen there, too. Basketball-wise, the Lady Bears have a 2-game homestand coming up. Of course, they stumbled a little bit this past Sunday at Illinois State. They'll look to bounce back against Indiana State on Friday night, 6:30 tip-off there. And then Sunday, they've got Evansville in for a 2 p.m. tip-off. So Lady Bears are 16-5 overall, 8-2 in the Missouri Valley Conference, continuing to play very good basketball. Chance to see them at home this weekend. And the Bears are on the road. They would go to Belmont for a Saturday 4 p.m. test. They had a win over Murray State last weekend to get off the schneid in the conference, and then they'll be home a week from Wednesday, actually next week, when Evansville comes to town to play another Valley game. So that's going to do it. Again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on Around the Ozarks Sports.